You said tomorrow, yesterday. In the eyes of the Stoics, fools perpetually prepare for life, always waiting for better conditions. They dwell in the illusion that the future holds better opportunities than the present, a mindset that leads to constant preparation and waiting rather than action and experience. But yesterday is gone, and tomorrow doesn't exist, the Stoics would remind us. Therefore, the only real moment to turn our life around is now. It's not merely the best time to act. It is quite literally the only time. And thus, never forget this Stoic rule. The whole future lies in uncertainty. Live immediately. Imagine waking up one day and realizing that half your life has slipped through your fingers, not because of catastrophe, but because of hesitation, distraction, and avoidance. How many times have you told yourself, "I'll start tomorrow," "I have time," or "one day I'll get to it"? The truth is, time is not stolen in dramatic moments. It is lost in the small, forgettable decisions of daily life. The Stoics were obsessed with time, not as an abstract concept, but as the most precious resource we have. Seneca warned that we are not given a short life, but we make it short. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily that you could be good today, but instead you choose tomorrow. These words are not just philosophy, they are a direct challenge. This guide will teach you how to stop wasting time, not just in the obvious ways, but in the subtle, insidious ways that go unnoticed. The excuses, the distractions, the waiting for perfect conditions. If you apply these lessons, you will not only make better use of your time, but you will cultivate a stronger, sharper, and more purposeful mind. This is not about productivity for the sake of doing more. It is about living fully, engaging deeply, and ensuring that when your time does run out, you have no regrets. Chapter 1. The Illusion of Endless Tomorrows. The Stoics had a brutal yet liberating truth to share. Time is the most valuable resource we have, yet it slips through our fingers like sand. Seneca, in his essay on the shortness of life, makes it clear that life is not short, but we waste much of it. This is where most people falter. They live as if they have infinite tomorrows, pushing their ambitions, dreams, and even their responsibilities further down the road. But what if tomorrow never comes? What if the opportunities you assumed would always be there vanish before you ever take hold of them? Think of how often you say, "I'll start tomorrow," "I'll get serious next week," or "when things settle down, I'll focus." These are self-deceptions, a way to avoid action. The Stoics demand that we face reality. Our time is limited. We must wake up to this fact before it's too late. The clock is always ticking, and every moment spent in hesitation, procrastination, or mindless distractions is a moment we will never get back. Consider the people on their deathbeds, those who have spent years delaying their passions, their dreams, and their purpose. They don't regret the things they attempted and failed at. They regret the things they never started. Life, when looked at through the rearview mirror, reveals its cruel irony. The time you thought you had was never truly yours to keep. You borrow it from fate, and one day, fate comes to collect its debt. How many days have you allowed to slip away in trivial pursuits? How often have you let moments pass without grasping their significance, believing there would always be more time? The reality is, the days turn into weeks, the weeks into years, and before you know it, you stand on the precipice of regret, wondering where it all went. Much of our time is lost not in grand, obvious ways, but in the seemingly small and insignificant choices we make each day. How often have you postponed an important task in favor of momentary comfort? How frequently do you find yourself caught in the endless loop of distractions, convincing yourself that there will always be time later? The Stoics warn us against this illusion. They remind us that the past is unchangeable, the future unknowable, and that the only certainty we truly possess is the present moment. Every single day is an opportunity, a chance to take action, to break free from old patterns, to create, to learn, and to engage deeply with life. To waste even a single day is to squander what may be the only chance you have. The Stoics teach that life is not about simply existing, but about fully living. Every breath, every decision, every action must be intentional. Consider the weight of wasted time. Imagine standing at the end of your life, looking back. Will you be content with how you spent your years? Or will you be filled with the agony of missed opportunities and paths untaken? Will you regret the time spent worrying about things you couldn't control instead of focusing on what you could? This moment, right now, is your chance to begin anew. The burden of past procrastination can either anchor you in place or be the very force that drives you forward with renewed purpose. You must decide. Will you continue to believe that tomorrow holds the promise of change, or will you grasp today with both hands, shaping it into something meaningful? The truth is, motivation does not arrive on its own. Waiting for inspiration is simply another way of wasting time. If you want to make something of your life, you must act despite hesitation, despite uncertainty. If you recognize that today is the only certainty you have, you will begin to live with urgency, purpose, and unwavering determination. Begin each morning by reminding yourself, today could be my last. How will I use it wisely? Reflect on the fragility of time and the unpredictability of life. Recognize that every moment is an opportunity, a resource that should not be squandered. Think about the things you would regret if today were indeed your last. Would you have spent enough time with loved ones? Would you have pursued the goals that truly matter? Would you have spoken the words you always meant to say? These are not questions to ponder idly, but to answer with decisive action. Instead of starting the day with distractions, immerse yourself in purposeful activity. Begin with deep breathing or meditation to center yourself and set an intention for how you will use the day ahead. Prioritize the most meaningful tasks rather than the most urgent ones. Every step you take toward fulfillment should align with your core values and ultimate aspirations. As you go about your day, maintain awareness of the fleeting nature of time. Carry the wisdom of the Stoics with you, reminding yourself that waiting is an illusion. What matters is doing now. Take small but deliberate steps toward growth and watch as your discipline compounds into a life well lived. Identify 3 things you have been delaying and take action on at least one of them today, regardless of any hesitation. Reflect every evening on wasted time and commit to making better use of the next day by setting 3 specific intentions for improvement. Chapter 2. The Tyranny of Distractions. Distractions are not just external, they are internal as well. Phones, entertainment, social media, and the endless cycle of mindless consumption keep us from engaging deeply with life. The Stoics were well aware of this, even in their time. Epictetus warned against being swayed by trivial matters and useless concerns. If he lived today, he would likely caution against binge-watching, endless scrolling, and the pursuit of meaningless drama. We live in an era where attention is currency, and distractions are deliberately designed to steal it. The digital world is built upon hijacking your focus, exploiting your impulses, and keeping you trapped in an endless loop of consumption. Notifications, autoplay features, algorithm-driven content, all of these tools exist to keep your mind occupied but unfulfilled. Every hour spent chasing fleeting entertainment is an hour lost to your deeper aspirations and intellectual growth. The Stoic resists. They cultivate the ability to focus, to engage with the world deliberately, and to choose their inputs wisely. They understand that controlling attention is not merely about willpower, but about intentional design. If you cannot control where your attention goes, you are not truly in control of your life. The antidote to distraction is presence. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself to return to the present moment, to focus only on what is within his power. Being fully engaged in the now allows you to extract the deepest meaning from each experience, whether it is work, study, or conversation. By removing unnecessary distractions and channeling your energy into purposeful action, you strengthen the discipline that defines a Stoic life. Distractions do not merely waste time, they fragment your mind, leaving you feeling scattered and unfocused. The more you indulge in them, the harder it becomes to concentrate on anything meaningful. It's not just about the obvious distractions like social media or television. Even seemingly productive activities can become forms of procrastination when they divert you from your true priorities. This is why self-awareness is essential, to recognize when you are engaging in something useful and when you are merely avoiding discomfort. Through daily practice, you can train yourself to reclaim control. Begin by setting boundaries. Designate periods where distractions are deliberately minimized. Practice solitude, reflection, and deep work. Make time for intentional stillness, where you can process your thoughts without external influence. Challenge yourself to resist the instant gratification that entertainment offers, and embrace the fulfillment that comes from mindful engagement with life. Consider the concept of digital minimalism, curating your environment to only include the technological tools that serve your highest values. This does not mean rejecting modern conveniences, but rather using them in a way that aligns with your personal and philosophical commitments. By carefully selecting what you consume and where you place your attention, you ensure that your mental space is filled with meaningful, growth-oriented input rather than trivial noise. If you seek mastery over your time, you must first seek mastery over your attention. The world will always pull you in 1,000 directions, constantly demanding your focus and energy. But the Stoic understands that true freedom comes from choosing where to direct one's mind. Modern life is filled with distractions, each one designed to steal away your precious moments. But by exercising discipline and awareness, you can reclaim control over your mental space. Each moment spent with clarity and purpose is a victory against the tyranny of distraction. It is not enough to simply acknowledge that distractions exist. You must take intentional steps to minimize them. This means curating your environment, reducing unnecessary stimuli, and practicing mindfulness in daily activities. Recognizing this allows you to approach each day with the wisdom to cut through the noise and the discipline to focus on what truly matters. The Stoic does not merely react to life, but actively shapes it. Instead of allowing external influences to dictate priorities, they cultivate an inner fortress of focus. This requires deliberate action, creating routines that eliminate distractions, setting clear goals, and continuously refining one's mental discipline. The more you practice this, the stronger your ability to resist trivial diversions and dedicate yourself to meaningful endeavors. Mastering attention is not just about improving productivity, it is about aligning with your deepest values. If you allow yourself to be pulled in endless directions, you risk losing sight of your true purpose. By cultivating unwavering focus, you transform your moments into stepping stones toward excellence, ensuring that every choice contributes to a life of meaning and fulfillment. Chapter 3. The Fallacy of Waiting for the Perfect Moment. I'll start when the time is right. How often do we tell ourselves this? We wait for better conditions, for inspiration, for some magical alignment of circumstances before we take action. But the Stoics knew better. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You could be good today. Instead, you choose tomorrow." Perfection is an illusion. There is no right time to start. The only time we ever have is now. Those who achieve great things do not wait. They begin despite imperfect conditions. The Stoics teach us that the only certainty we have is the present, and the only way to ensure a better future is to act in this moment. Waiting for the perfect moment is a subtle form of self-deception. We convince ourselves that external factors are the primary obstacles, but in reality, it is our own hesitation, doubt, and fear that hold us back. The belief in a perfect time allows us to procrastinate under the illusion that someday everything will align effortlessly. But the truth is, every great achievement begins with imperfect, uncertain, and sometimes uncomfortable first steps. The Stoics embraced the philosophy of immediacy. They understood that life is fleeting and that the future is never guaranteed. To delay action is to gamble with time, the most finite resource we possess. Every moment spent waiting is a moment lost forever. Imagine looking back on your life and realizing that all the time spent preparing, hesitating, and seeking the ideal moment never actually moved you closer to your goals. The weight of unrealized potential can be crushing, a bitter reminder of what could have been if only action had been taken sooner. Take a look at history, and you will find that those who shaped the world did not wait. They acted in the face of uncertainty. They embraced the challenge of beginning before they felt completely ready. It was through action that they refined their skills, learned through experience, and achieved mastery. These individuals did not dwell on the fear of imperfection. Rather, they understood that progress is a continuous journey, and the only way to reach excellence is to take the first step, however unpolished it may be. The path to excellence is paved with imperfect attempts. The first step does not have to be perfect. It only has to be taken. Each action, no matter how small, builds momentum. With momentum comes progress, and with progress comes confidence. Confidence is not something that arrives fully formed. It is built brick by brick through experience and persistence. Every challenge overcome, every lesson learned, contributes to a foundation of resilience that allows us to face greater challenges ahead. The mind often deceives us into believing that we need more preparation, more certainty, more time before we act. But this is an illusion. Clarity comes from engagement, not from waiting. Growth happens through experience, not through hesitation. The longer we delay, the harder it becomes to break free from the grip of inaction. Action creates possibility, whereas hesitation ensures stagnation. So ask yourself, what have you been delaying under the guise of waiting for the right time? What opportunities are slipping through your fingers while you hesitate? The perfect moment is an illusion, but the present moment is real, and it is yours to seize. Every second you postpone your dreams is a second lost forever. Instead of waiting for the right moment, create it. Instead of hoping for the perfect conditions, adapt to what you have and begin. The road ahead may be uncertain, but one truth remains unshakable. Only those who take action will ever move forward. Identify an area where you have been waiting for the right time and take immediate action. Set deadlines for decisions and projects to prevent endless hesitation. Remind yourself that you are capable of progress even in imperfect circumstances. Chapter 4. The Fear of Failure and Its Chains. One of the greatest reasons people waste time is the fear of failure. We hesitate to act because we fear judgment, embarrassment, or the possibility of making a mistake. This fear paralyzes us, causing us to avoid opportunities and potential growth. But the Stoics saw failure differently. To them, failure was not something to be feared, but something to be embraced as an essential part of growth and self-improvement. Seneca famously said, "Difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body." If you fear failure, you are avoiding the very experiences that make you stronger. By refusing to act out of fear, you are ensuring your own stagnation. The Stoic accepts failure as a teacher and moves forward regardless. Every setback, every mistake, and every challenge is a lesson that brings you closer to wisdom and competence. The more you fail, the more resilient you become. The Stoics understood that setbacks were not just obstacles, but opportunities to practice endurance, patience, and perseverance. The modern world often equates failure with inadequacy, but the Stoic perspective is different. Failure is simply feedback, a guide pointing out areas for improvement. The greatest figures in history, from philosophers to inventors, did not achieve greatness by avoiding failure, but by learning from it and persisting in spite of it. They understood that progress comes from action, not perfection. Every major breakthrough was preceded by countless failed attempts, and every master once stood where a beginner stands today. The difference lies in their willingness to persist despite failure, to embrace the lessons hidden within each setback. When you reframe failure as a stepping stone rather than a roadblock, you liberate yourself from its chains. Each failed attempt is a lesson in disguise, a sharpening of the mind, a testing of your resolve. The Stoic recognizes that failure is not personal, it is universal. It does not define you, rather, it refines you. The more frequently you fail, the more experienced you become, and the less fearful you are of future challenges. With each failure, you gain new insights, making you more adaptable, prepared, and resilient. Failure, in its essence, is growth in disguise. It is an opportunity to examine what works and what doesn't, to refine techniques, and to strengthen resolve. The only people who never fail are those who never try, and in their avoidance of failure, they also avoid growth, achievement, and true understanding. The Stoic sees failure as part of a necessary process, one that leads to wisdom, resilience, and mastery over both the self and external circumstances. By treating failure as an inevitable and essential part of progress, you develop the ability to face setbacks without despair. When you fail, analyze what went wrong, adjust your strategy, and try again with renewed determination. The only true failure is inaction. A Stoic knows that action, even imperfect action, is always preferable to endless hesitation. Each step forward, no matter how small or flawed, is a victory over inertia. Even failure at something worthwhile is more valuable than doing nothing at all. It is through failure that strength of character is forged, shaping an individual who no longer fears adversity, but welcomes it as a chance to learn and refine their abilities. To live without fear of failure is to live with courage, and courage is the foundation of all achievement. Fear will always exist, but acting in spite of it is what separates those who achieve from those who only dream. The Stoic understands that the pursuit of excellence demands failure along the way. Those who make peace with failure transform it from an obstacle into an ally, one that teaches, strengthens, and ultimately propels them towards success. Mastery, growth, and fulfillment belong to those who persist through setbacks, embracing failure not as a punishment, but as a guide toward greatness. Chapter 5. The Weight of Regret. Regret is one of the heaviest burdens we carry, a constant reminder of what could have been if only we had acted sooner. The Stoics warn us against accumulating regrets by failing to live fully in the present. Seneca wrote, "Life is long if you know how to use it, yet too many people reach the end of their days realizing they have squandered much of their existence on trivialities, distractions, and fear-driven inaction." Regret is not born out of taking action. It stems from choosing comfort over challenge, distraction over discipline, and hesitation over decisiveness. Every moment we delay action, we risk adding to the ledger of our regrets. The Stoic understands that the only way to minimize regret is to maximize engagement with the present. One of the greatest dangers of regret is that it accumulates over time, creating a mental weight that becomes harder to bear with each passing year. The more we put off meaningful action, the more regrets compound, leaving us stuck in cycles of lamentation. This is why the Stoic believes in embracing immediate action, rather than waiting for an elusive, perfect moment to arise. The more decisively we act now, the fewer regrets we will have to carry into the future. Another important lesson the Stoics impart is that regret should not paralyze us, but rather serve as a guide. Regret, when properly examined, can highlight the values we have neglected or the opportunities we have let slip away. Instead of dwelling on past mistakes with sorrow, we should study them with curiosity. What did we avoid out of fear? What chances did we let pass by due to hesitation? In facing these hard truths, we gain the wisdom to correct our course and make better choices moving forward. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, often reflected on the transient nature of life. He understood that time is a currency we cannot replenish, and he urged himself to live each day as though it were his last. This mindset is not about cultivating anxiety, but about fostering urgency and purpose. By accepting the impermanence of our existence, we are reminded that now, this very moment, is all we truly possess. To live without regret does not mean avoiding failure or hardship. Quite the contrary, it means embracing risk, stepping into the unknown, and understanding that mistakes are not the enemy. Inaction is. The Stoic acknowledges that life will be filled with trials, but they would rather stumble while striving for something meaningful than stand still in fear. By actively shaping our present, we take control of our future. We replace hesitation with action, distraction with focus, and fear with courage. If we wish to reach the end of our days with a sense of fulfillment rather than regret, we must begin today. Not tomorrow, not next week, but in this very moment. Because the past is unchangeable and the future is uncertain, but the present, that is ours to command. Take inventory of past regrets and extract lessons from them, rather than dwelling on what is unchangeable. Identify one thing you would regret not doing if life ended tomorrow, and begin working on it today. End each day by asking yourself, did I make the best use of my time? Adjust accordingly. Chapter 6. The Illusion of Busyness. Many people mistake movement for progress. They fill their days with endless tasks, meetings, and responsibilities, but rarely pause to assess whether these activities are truly meaningful. The Stoics caution against mistaking mere activity for real productivity. Marcus Aurelius advised, "If you seek tranquility, do less," or, more accurately, do what's essential. The key is to focus on what truly matters. Cut out the noise, the unnecessary obligations, and the distractions disguised as responsibilities. Instead of being busy for the sake of being busy, direct your energy toward deliberate, high-impact actions. The illusion of busyness is a dangerous one. By keeping ourselves occupied, we often avoid the discomfort of confronting deeper, more significant work that requires our true attention. We deceive ourselves into thinking that constant movement equates to meaningful accomplishment, when, in reality, it often serves as a form of procrastination disguised as productivity. Busyness can also be a means of escape, a way to avoid difficult self-reflection. When people are constantly engaged in tasks, they rarely stop to question whether those tasks align with their deeper goals. The Stoic approach calls for ruthless prioritization, stripping away what is trivial and directing energy toward what is meaningful. This requires discipline and courage to step back, evaluate, and accept that doing less, but doing it well, is far more valuable than spreading oneself thin over countless distractions. One of the greatest dangers of constant busyness is that it can create the illusion of progress while keeping us trapped in an endless cycle of unfulfilling tasks. Many people fill their schedules to the brim, believing that being occupied is the same as being productive. But busyness is not an indicator of accomplishment. It is often a sign of avoidance. The Stoic realizes that true achievement comes not from doing more, but from doing what truly matters with precision and purpose. The modern world glorifies busyness, equating it with importance and success. However, true success is not about how much you do, but about the significance of what you achieve. The Stoic masters understood this and lived with intention, ensuring their actions aligned with their ultimate purpose rather than being caught up in the mindless hustle of everyday distractions. They knew that it is not the number of tasks completed that defines a life well lived, but the depth and meaning behind those actions. To live meaningfully, one must learn to distinguish between essential and non-essential tasks and give themselves permission to eliminate the latter. Cutting away the unnecessary requires both courage and wisdom. It means resisting the pressure to conform to societal expectations of constant busyness and instead embracing a deliberate approach to time management. It is not about working harder, but working smarter, ensuring that every effort is directed towards something truly worthwhile. If you find yourself constantly busy but unfulfilled, take a moment to reflect. Are you truly making progress toward your goals, or are you just filling your days with activity? Are you prioritizing depth over breadth, quality over quantity? True productivity is about focused effort on the things that matter most, not the sheer quantity of tasks completed. Mastery over time comes from choosing quality over quantity, depth over breadth, and intention over impulse. The Stoic does not seek to do more, but to do what is necessary, meaningful, and enduring. When you intentionally remove the distractions of unnecessary busyness, you create space for true engagement. You free yourself to think deeply, act purposefully, and align your efforts with your highest values. Instead of allowing obligations to dictate your time, you take control of your life and direct it toward meaningful pursuits. In doing so, you achieve not only greater efficiency, but a deeper sense of fulfillment, knowing that each moment has been spent with purpose and clarity. Review your daily schedule and eliminate at least one unnecessary or low-value task. Prioritize 3 meaningful activities each day and focus solely on those. Chapter 7. The Strength of Discipline. Discipline is the bridge between knowing and doing. Without it, even the most profound Stoic insights remain theoretical rather than practical. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Freedom is not found in indulgence, but in mastery over one's impulses, habits, and actions. True discipline is not an external force imposed upon us, but an internal commitment to personal growth and excellence. Discipline is not a trait. It is a muscle that must be exercised daily. The Stoic commits to self-discipline not as an act of punishment, but as an act of self-respect. They do what must be done, even when it is difficult, tedious, or uninspiring. The disciplined individual does not wait for motivation. They act despite its absence. They know that real strength is forged in adversity, in the moments when every fiber of their being wants to quit, yet they persist. One of the key components of Stoic discipline is consistency. Small, steady efforts each day lead to monumental progress over time. This is why the Stoic practices daily rituals, whether it be journaling, meditation, exercise, or deliberate reflection. These habits reinforce mental clarity and strengthen the ability to endure discomfort. Each disciplined act is a declaration of mastery over the self, a testament to the unwavering pursuit of virtue. Discipline is the antidote to regret. Those who lack discipline often find themselves burdened with missed opportunities, unfulfilled potential, and a life filled with what-ifs. The Stoic understands that a disciplined life is a life without unnecessary regret. By holding themselves accountable and taking consistent action, they ensure that their days are spent with intention rather than wasted in indecision or laziness. Discipline creates structure, and structure enables a person to progress toward their goals with purpose. Without it, time is spent haphazardly, and before long, a lifetime of potential has been wasted. The Stoic also recognizes that discipline extends beyond personal habits. It applies to how one interacts with the world. They exercise discipline in speech, in thought, and in action, choosing their words and behaviors carefully. They do not give in to fleeting emotions, nor are they easily swayed by external pressures. They train themselves to remain steady, unshaken by temporary discomfort or short-term gratification. True discipline involves emotional regulation, ensuring that reactions are measured and that every decision is based on wisdom rather than impulse. Discipline is also the key to resilience. Life is unpredictable, and external events often disrupt plans. However, a disciplined person does not falter in the face of adversity. They persist, adjusting their approach when necessary, but never deviating from their principles. The ability to remain steadfast during hardship is what allows individuals to achieve greatness, regardless of the obstacles they encounter. For the Stoic, every challenge is an opportunity to strengthen their resolve. True discipline means embracing setbacks, viewing them not as failures, but as opportunities for growth. Each time an obstacle arises, it is another chance to refine one's character and fortify the will. Additionally, discipline fosters self-reliance. Instead of depending on external motivators, the Stoic develops an internal drive to succeed. They understand that motivation is fleeting, but discipline is constant. Motivation may get someone started, but only discipline will keep them moving forward when challenges arise. This understanding allows them to stay consistent even when enthusiasm fades, ensuring long-term success rather than short-lived effort. Self-reliance also breeds independence, removing the need for external validation or approval. The disciplined person does not wait for the perfect conditions to act. They create their own opportunities through consistent effort. Discipline is not a burden, but a path to liberation. It frees the mind from the chaos of distraction, the paralysis of overthinking, and the stagnation of inaction. It enables individuals to act decisively, to move forward with confidence, and to shape their lives according to their highest values. A disciplined mind is a focused mind, able to block out noise and direct energy toward what truly matters. This ability to control one's actions and responses brings a sense of peace and clarity, as one is no longer enslaved to impulses or fleeting desires. Discipline is also a form of self-respect. The individual who exercises discipline shows that they value their time, their goals, and their future. They do not waste their moments on distractions that do not serve them. Instead, they structure their days in alignment with their ultimate purpose. This structure is not rigid or oppressive. Rather, it provides a framework that enhances freedom. By eliminating the chaos of indecision and mindless distractions, discipline allows for greater creativity, deeper engagement, and a stronger sense of fulfillment. True discipline also fosters a profound sense of clarity. The more disciplined one becomes, the less cluttered the mind is with unnecessary concerns. Decisions become easier because they are made with purpose and alignment to one's values. The disciplined individual is not weighed down by the distractions of fleeting desires, but is instead propelled forward by an unwavering sense of direction. A Stoic does not simply wish for self-mastery. They cultivate it, brick by brick, through their disciplined choices and unwavering commitment to personal growth. They understand that each day presents an opportunity to strengthen their resolve. They do not allow past failures to dictate their future, nor do they wait for perfect conditions to take action. Instead, they recognize that discipline is a daily practice, an ongoing process of refinement that requires patience and dedication. Every act of discipline is a declaration of control over the self, a refusal to be ruled by impulses or emotions. And in doing so, they create a life of purpose, free from regret and rich with fulfillment. The disciplined individual experiences a deeper sense of satisfaction because their actions are intentional and meaningful. They build resilience with every decision, forging a mindset that is not easily swayed by external pressures. They understand that discipline is not a one-time choice, but a lifelong practice, one that must be reinforced daily through conscious effort and unwavering commitment. The truly disciplined individual is not one who never struggles, but one who never surrenders to struggle. They embrace challenges as opportunities to refine their character and strengthen their will. They cultivate a sense of inner strength that allows them to navigate life's obstacles with grace and determination. And through their continuous efforts, they shape a life of true mastery, purpose, and fulfillment. Implement a structured morning routine that sets a disciplined tone for the day. Identify a habit you want to develop and commit to practicing it consistently for 30 days. When faced with an urge to procrastinate, repeat to yourself, "Am I being ruled by my emotions, or am I in control?" Chapter 8. The courage to say no. One of the greatest time wasters in life is the inability to say no. People often overcommit out of fear of disappointing others, fear of missing opportunities, or fear of being perceived as selfish. However, the Stoics remind us that saying yes to everything is a fast track to distraction, exhaustion, and a loss of control over one's own time. Seneca wrote, "If you don't know where you are going, you will never get there." Saying no is an act of clarity, a declaration that you understand your priorities and refuse to be swayed by the demands of others. A Stoic learns to say no with confidence, understanding that every yes comes at the cost of something else. Saying yes to things that do not align with your values or long-term goals is equivalent to giving away your most valuable resource, time, to those who do not appreciate or deserve it. Instead of being a passive participant in life, the Stoic deliberately chooses where their attention and energy go. Remind yourself that your time is finite. Guard it as you would a prized possession. Chapter 9. The power of routine and ritual. Great lives are not built on occasional bursts of effort, but on the quiet consistency of daily habits. The Stoics understood that excellence is not a matter of luck, but of discipline. Marcus Aurelius, despite being the most powerful man in the world, adhered to strict personal routines that helped him cultivate wisdom, resilience, and clarity. He did not rely on motivation, but on structured habits that reinforced his values and strengthened his mind. The modern world often champions spontaneity and novelty, but the Stoic sees value in consistency. A structured life does not mean a dull one. It means a purposeful one. By establishing routines, you free your mind from decision fatigue and create space for deeper thinking and meaningful work. Every successful person understands this principle. Greatness is forged in the mundane, in the small, repeated actions that, over time, accumulate into mastery. Routines create stability and focus, acting as anchors that allow us to navigate life with intention. Without routine, we are at the mercy of external demands and fleeting emotions, constantly reacting instead of proactively directing our path. By adhering to daily disciplines, we build a foundation that supports long-term success and fulfillment. Whether it is a morning ritual that sets the tone for the day or an evening practice that fosters reflection, structured habits reinforce our values and keep us aligned with our purpose. Routines enhance mental clarity, When daily decisions are predetermined by well-crafted habits, we free cognitive energy for more meaningful pursuits. Many of history's greatest thinkers, from Aristotle to Benjamin Franklin, maintained structured routines that allowed them to focus on intellectual and creative endeavors rather than mundane logistics. By automating the predictable, we carve out space for what truly matters. A Stoic understands that discipline and routine go hand in hand. Repetition builds mastery, and mastery leads to confidence. When we repeatedly commit to the same actions with purpose, they become second nature, eliminating resistance and hesitation. This removes the need to rely on fleeting motivation and ensures that progress is sustained even when challenges arise. Over time, disciplined habits reinforce an individual's resilience, allowing them to navigate life's unpredictability with steadiness and purpose. The importance of routines extends beyond efficiency. They cultivate emotional stability. Without structured habits, emotions can dictate the course of our days, leading us into cycles of reactivity rather than purposeful action. A well-established routine provides a sense of control, ensuring that we remain grounded and intentional in how we spend our time. With a framework in place, moments of difficulty become easier to manage because our daily discipline acts as an anchor. The key is to craft routines that serve rather than constrain. A well-structured day does not eliminate spontaneity, but provides a framework within which spontaneity can thrive. The Stoic recognizes that life requires both order and adaptability. By organizing our days effectively, we create the freedom to respond to unforeseen challenges without being overwhelmed. Through consistency, we cultivate mental fortitude, making it easier to stay focused on what truly matters. By setting intentional boundaries for our time and energy, we prevent distractions from derailing our focus and ensure that we remain on the path of growth. Ultimately, the small, consistent choices we make each day determine the quality of our lives. Every habit we reinforce shapes our character, and every disciplined action strengthens our ability to live with purpose. A life built on intentional routines is one that remains steady through all of life's seasons, allowing us to move forward with clarity, determination, and a sense of fulfillment. Identify 3 core habits that align with your long-term goals and commit to them daily. Establish a morning and evening ritual to create structure in your life. Track your progress and refine your routines as needed. Chapter 10. The Art of Letting Go. Many people waste their lives clinging to things they cannot change. Grudges, disappointments, past relationships, missed opportunities, and failures. The Stoics, however, taught the art of letting go. Epictetus advised, "Some things are up to us, and some are not." To focus on what is out of our control is to surrender to unnecessary suffering, to willingly allow one's peace to be disturbed by matters beyond one's influence. The weight of holding on to the past is immense, and yet so many people carry it with them every day, unaware that it is preventing them from moving forward. Letting go is not a sign of weakness, but of wisdom. It means accepting reality as it is, without resistance. The more time you spend dwelling on the past or worrying about the future, the less time you have to live fully in the present. The Stoic does not ignore emotions, but instead acknowledges them, understands them, and then chooses to act rationally rather than emotionally. They recognize that lamenting over what has already happened or fearing what may come next is futile and counterproductive. Instead of allowing the mind to be consumed by regret or anxiety, they channel their energy toward constructive action and self-improvement. Furthermore, letting go is an exercise in freedom. When we release ourselves from unnecessary attachments, we are no longer bound by resentment, anger, or grief. The mind becomes lighter, clearer, and more capable of focusing on what truly matters. A Stoic understands that dwelling on the past prevents one from fully embracing the present moment. They train their mind to release attachments to things beyond their control and instead direct their energy toward meaningful action. Letting go does not mean forgetting or dismissing the lessons learned from hardship. It means recognizing that while the past may have shaped us, it does not define us. True strength lies in our ability to move forward with clarity, wisdom, and purpose. Beyond just freeing ourselves from the weight of the past, letting go also cultivates inner peace. The Stoic learns that attachment to what is lost only prolongs suffering. Instead of viewing change as a loss, they see it as part of the natural order of life. This does not mean we do not grieve, but we do not remain trapped by grief. We acknowledge our emotions, give them space, and then choose to release them so we can continue walking forward. The practice of letting go extends beyond personal regrets. It also applies to expectations and control over others. Many people waste valuable time and energy trying to change those around them, dictating how they should behave or respond. They believe that if they just say the right words or push hard enough, they can alter another person's choices, attitudes, or beliefs. But the Stoic understands that the actions and opinions of others are outside of our control. Instead of trying to force change upon others, they focus on mastering their own reactions, leading by example, and choosing how they respond to the world around them. Letting go of the desire to control others is an act of liberation. The more we try to micromanage people's behaviors, the more frustration we invite into our lives. When we release the expectation that others should act as we wish them to, we free ourselves from constant disappointment. A Stoic does not seek to impose their will on others, but instead cultivates understanding and acceptance. They recognize that every person must walk their own path and learn their own lessons in their own time. This applies not only to relationships with individuals, but also to societal expectations. Many people tie their happiness to how well others conform to their ideals, or how closely the world aligns with their personal vision. But this is a futile endeavor. The Stoic accepts the world as it is, without resentment or resistance, and instead focuses on adapting and acting within their own sphere of influence. They practice internal control rather than external control, recognizing that their greatest power lies in their ability to choose their own thoughts, reactions, and behaviors. Letting go is an active process, not a passive one. It requires conscious effort, self-reflection, and repeated practice. It means learning to identify the things that trigger frustration or disappointment and asking, "Is this within my power?" If the answer is no, the Stoic response is to release attachment to it. The more we learn to release what we cannot control, the more energy we have to devote to what truly matters. The mind that is unburdened by unnecessary attachments is a mind that can focus, create, and grow. It is a mind that is truly free. This freedom manifests in many ways. It means we stop arguing with reality, wishing things were different rather than working with what is. It means we no longer waste time replaying conversations, ruminating over past slights, or trying to gain approval from people who may never give it. The ability to let go does not mean apathy. It means focusing our efforts where they are most effective, ensuring that our energy is directed toward meaningful action rather than wasted on futile resistance. By consistently practicing this mindset, the Stoic creates a life of inner peace and clarity. They do not allow themselves to be weighed down by the unpredictable and uncontrollable aspects of life. Instead, they move forward with confidence, fully engaged in the present, unburdened by unnecessary emotional baggage. Letting go, in its truest sense, is an act of profound strength. With these lessons, the Stoic path to mastering time and living with purpose becomes clearer. Every moment counts. What will you do with yours?